Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Rémi Métayer and you asked for it. So this is a bike check of my custom Propain Spindrift mixed wheels. So I just want to put out a bike check without riding the bike. So what I've been doing is that I put about a month of riding just to get super comfortable with the bike, the settings, and give you a really detailed view of what I've done to the Spindrift. You can find plenty of content on my second channel, Rémi Métayer Raw. I'm gonna put a link in the description. And yeah, it's been awesome to be riding that bike. But this bike check is not gonna be your regular bike check. A lot of the parts are similar to what I run on the Tai. A lot of the setup are similar. But what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna compare the two bikes. So the Spindrift and the Tai that that you saw me riding since the month of January. I think it's gonna make it more interesting, so let's jump into it. So the Spindrift is a big Enduro / Freeride bike from Propain. It actually exists in 3 wheel sizes, 29, 27.5 and mixed wheel. Myself, I'm a firm believer and the mullet bike are something really cool and they really fit my riding, they really fit people my size. So after the mixed wheel, it's basically a 29er front triangle and 27.5 rear triangle. The bike is super playful, extremely fun to ride, still super efficient, plenty of clearance with the rear wheel, and so far it's been awesome. I'm 5'7" and this bike is a size medium. Every bike I order at Propain are size medium. It's got a 450mm reach, which is basically 1mm shorter than the Tai 451. But what's interesting is the rear of the bike. The chainstays on the mixed wheel Spindrift are 435mm, which is 10mm shorter than on my Tai 29er. That makes the bike more playful, more fun to ride, easier to manual and pop, but obviously the bike is shorter, so that makes it less stable, so then that's really up to the rider to pick up what they prefer. For me it's been really fun to ride this bike. It's though 10mm shorter than the Tai, but because it's got 180mm travel on the bike is actually still really stable. It's been really fun to ride, and yeah, let's dig into the bike parts. It's very similar to what I've been running on the Tai, just a few differences, especially suspension. So same shock, a JDX, obviously it's a bit longer, it's got a bit more stroke, but the big difference I've done to this is that I use a lighter spring. It's a 400-pound spring, whereas on the Tai I run a 500-pound spring, and this has to do because of the length of the chainstay, how the kinematic of the suspension has been designed. For the forks though, I run a 180mm Onyx single crown. Same settings, but because the frame is a bit more progressive, I'm gonna put my front suspension a bit more progressive as well. So I'm gonna add a little bit of oil, about 10cc on the air chamber, just so I can keep the bike more balanced. In terms of transmission, I run the rotor Capi cranks, 170mm length, 30 teeth, oval chainring. I really like the oval chainring because that provides me a more consistent power, and I find it beneficial when I go up technical stuff. Even though I don't really like going uphill, I find it helps. I can get you know, a more regular cadence when I pedal, and I find it helps traction. So it's been really good, especially on slippery climbs. As you may have seen, I do not run the hydraulic transmission from rotor, simply because due to COVID and due to the increase of product within the bike industry, it's been difficult to get the product. As soon as I can, I will switch the current transmission I have for the rotor hydraulic. But I want to give a massive shout out to Jenson USA, which is, you know, my main partner right now, along the side with Propain. They've helped me out and they've shipped me some Shimano transmission directly from their warehouse. So thank you so much, Jenson, for that. And a good way to support my channel is to make your purchase on Jenson using the link in the description. That helps me out a lot, so thanks so much for that. For the rest of the transmission, I've got the E13 TRS Arc chain guide, super light, very easy to maintain and remove the chain with a little clip. I wasn't able to get a 12-speed transmission, so I've got a 11-speed KMC SL chain, 11-speed shifter on there obviously, and for the cassette I used the XCX from E13. It's a 942 cassette, so smaller spoke rate than I'm used to, but for the use I have of this bike, which is more freeride, it's been completely fine. For pedals, as always, I'm riding the Time Special 12 pedal. I run the pins only on the back and I run the cleat at the 13-degree position. been awesome. I really love them. They are an amazing fit with the new Physique Gravita shoes I've been riding, and yeah, very happy with it. For my seat post, stem and bars, one-up components obviously, they are from Squamish, directly from here. Product have been designed, developed exactly on the same trail I'm riding. I run the same bar length, 750mm, because I run the same fork height than I do on the Tai. 35mm stem because the reach on the bike are extremely similar. It's been awesome, really like the flex of the carbon that really helps with the damping on longer runs. And the seat post, I've played with different height. I used to run 150s and 160, and now I use a 170mm post. It's actually a 180, but I use a shim stack to bring it down to 170, and yeah, absolutely love it. Because I pedal with that bike, I've chosen the Ergon SM Enduro size small medium seat. Been really comfortable. I use that seat on every bike I have except my downhill bike and my dirt jumper bike. I also use the G1 Enduro grips. Those are the factory rubber. I do prefer the factory rubber because they are slightly softer than the regular rubber, and also they work better when I don't ride gloves. As you may have seen in some of my videos lately, I've removed my gloves just because I feel I'm a better rider without gloves. I have a better feeling. Obviously, if I crash, I'm more likely to hurt myself without gloves, so that's the downside of it. But this grip I've been performing really well with or without gloves, so it's pretty cool to have the option. For brakes, I've been using the Ace Dominion A4, so same brakes than on every other bike I have. This got a 200mm front and back disc, just like my Tai, but on one of my Tai I've put a 180mm on the bike. I don't like it as much just because it hits up a bit in longer downhill and you lose a bit of power, so that's why I've been using a 200mm disc. The initial power is basically the same, but on longer downhill the 180 gets a bit tired. For brake pads, I've got the sintered brake pads. I really like them. They provide really good power on any condition, and I really like the initial bite. For some riders that might be a bit too aggressive, but I really like my brakes to bite hard from the beginning. For wheels, it's gonna be pretty quick because at the same wheels, LG1R Enduro, so the carbon wheels, 27.5 back, 29 front. For tires, as you can see, it says Grappler. You'll hear more about it very soon. But Mopo compound. On this bike I've got downhill casing front and back, but depending on the ride I can switch to an enduro casing on the front, eventually on the back, just because it's a bit lighter so it's easier to pedal. But on this build, for what I was doing yesterday, I chose a very reliable build, so I went full downhill casing. That's it for the main bike part, but I want to show you a few details on my bike. This you may have seen before. It's called Stfu. It's an invention from Chris Kovarik, and it's basically a chain dampener system to keep your bike quiet. The Propain Spindrift come with a very well done chainstay protector that you can see here, but using the Stfu makes the bike even more quiet. Normally it will come with two of those guys, but I've been experimenting with only one. I'm gonna put back the second one just because that makes the bike even more quiet. On the front we got the brand new mud hugger. It's got more mud clearance. It's also got a cut design by the fork, so when you bottom out, the plastic of the mud guard won't touch anymore the crown on the fork. It used to be a problem for some of the fork out there, but now it's all fixed. The bottle cage is the Topic Ninja. The bike actually was built using Topic tools. We've got a camelback water bottle. You can see a WD-40 stickers. As you know, I'm representing WD-40 bike specific product, so the bike has been cleaned, maintained, lubed using WD-40 bike specific products. I've ridden this bike all around Squamish, but also in Pemberton, Vancouver, so I've done like quite different trails, and I have to say 180mm of travel is quite a lot. That bike can take up really big hits. I was very impressed by how well and how settled is the suspension on big impact. So 180mm travel really helped me out, and the bike ramp up super nicely. You don't experience bottom out like you could on an enduro bike because it's been made for bigger impact. It's been also really fun to ride. The short chainstay are super easy, super fun to ride. It's really easy to come into a corner, accelerate out of the corner, manual the bike and turn the bike around. That being said, obviously because shorter chainstay come with one disadvantage, which is basically a bit less stability. So the Tai in 29er with longer chainstay provides you I find more stability on the thundery stuff, especially when you get onto holes and when you come really fast onto a corner. The bike feels more stable with longer chainstay. So to me, that's the biggest difference. Really comes from the rear of the bike. The front is very similar. Obviously you got more travel and it's been designed to take bigger hit. But I think it's really cool that Propain offers those two bikes in their range of products. I have to say, one of the things that impressed me the most with this bike is its ability to pedal. I wasn't expecting a bike with this much travel and this capable of taking on gnarly lines, big impacts, to be that easy to pedal up. And this is mostly due because of the steep seat tube angle that puts your position quite a lot on the front of the bike when it's really steep going uphill. That's really comfortable, and the suspension is really efficient as well. So it's been basically awesome. You can have a freeride bike that you can pedal the top of the uphill. So when it's not bike park season, you can basically turn that into a proper enduro bike. You can make it a bit lighter to make it easier to pedal by switching up tires, so you can make up some weight. But it's been awesome, really fun bike to have, and I think fun is what describes the best this bike. Thank you guys for watching this video that was presented to you by Jensen USA, and that was a pro bike check of my Spindrift mixed wheel. If you enjoy it, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to support me, as always, you can make a purchase using one of the links in the description. There is also plenty of discount codes, DVO suspension, E13, Stfu and more. And I see you next week. Thank you so much.